Okay, this is my first time trying this live. So I'm going to try to explain the handicap principle to you. And I was going to do like a whole elaborate video on this, but we just don't have time, okay? Um so what the handicap principle means is that it is if it's possible to demonstrate a provable opportunity cost, uh, it is you can send you can use a demonstrated opportunity cost to send a reliable signal. Okay, so uh, and see if somebody can see that you are using up resources in order to communicate. They know that you can't communicate that often. See, they know that you have chosen to to make this particular form of communication, right? So I don't. Okay, so example, uh, the peacock has a uh, a beautiful tail, right? And um, the reason that the tail is effective as a a a a means of being assessed by females is the cost of producing the tail. Okay, so if you just had like a normal bird, um, you could see that it functions okay, but if it has the tail, then you can see that it functions really well. So because it's a much more like it's a more difficult engineering operation, shall we say, to produce the tail, right? That it requires fine detail work, and your body has to be really good in order to produce it. And the tail is heavy, and it costs upkeep. So what does that show? That shows that the peacock is competent enough that he can run around with this tail. Okay, and um, the the costly signal sets the competition bar, right? Because peacocks that aren't competent enough to keep the tail looking beautiful, they don't get to reproduce, right? Um, and so peacock's tail, that is an example for males communicating with females, right? But there's other examples in nature that are males communicating with males. Okay, so that's what antlers are for on deer, for example. And the way that this works is that uh, the males can assess the strength of one another uh, in a way that is much less destructive than outright fighting. Okay, um, because the antlers allow them to get a fine-tuned view of one another, and um, it means that the males can avoid killing each other, right? They're after territory, because they can assess one another and look at who is stronger, and if they're not sure by looking, then they can interlock their heads and test one another that way. So proof of work is like that. Okay, so my theory about how mining works in Bitcoin is that a miner has to come up with a good consensus, because he risks that his block will not be accepted by the network, right? So I would tell people, like, the miners have to come up with a good consensus so you can trust them. That's kind of necessary, right? And if it wasn't for the hashing, you would have no reason to trust them. But because they're hashing, that they had to think through what they were doing, right? Because they definitely lose the energy that they spend on hashing, whether or not the price of Bitcoin goes up or down, and whether or not their block is accepted. Okay, so proof of work is very important to understanding Bitcoin. And when I did my show, like, I do the handicap principle because I act crazy, right? Well, really, that's a way of showing that I'm sane, right? Because it's socially costly to just go and act like a crazy person, right? Normally, like, not everybody can get away with that. See, I'm showing that I can get away with that. Well, okay. So, oh, how do I? Hi, Go Peroni. So anyway, oh, somebody was chatting. So, God, if you know how to use costly signals, you can do all kinds of things with them, right? You can communicate all kinds of different things if you know how to use them. Okay, so like, you can make jokes about things that other people find scary. Okay, and so if you're doing that, that's kind of a costly signal, because most people can't afford to. If somebody's feeling scared, they can't make a joke. See? So, and I talk about this in my Groucho video. See, I say, if you see somebody who is anxious and you're not anxious, then you can you can communicate with them, and they have to listen. See? So So, geez, how do I explain this? So, like when I talk on my video about like uh, gladiators, okay? So what I say is when Bitcoin split, you need to look for which side has the better gladiator, okay? So and so far, like I think I found some people who know how to be gladiators. Okay, so so I think that you should be looking for people who are joking about the hash war in particular that may or may not happen in Bitcoin Cash. Those are the people who have figured out how to fight a hash war. Okay, and you know, I have really only talked about this sort of thing in theory. Okay, I haven't really been thinking about how to actually fight one, right? But I think that there's a connection between like it's all about costly signals, right? So you want to show other people that you know how to use costly signals, right? That's how you tell other people that you are a gladiator. Okay, so so I sort of know how to do that. So I didn't. I may have been unconsciously signaling this in some way, but like it, the way that you would actually use mining to fight other people in a hash war is about understanding the use of costly signals from like a strategic standpoint. Okay, so I am still coming to terms with this idea, but I think that there are some people around who have really thought this idea through like really well. So so look around for people who know how to use the handicap principle in their communication styles. Okay, because I think that these are the people who have understood Bitcoin, like not just theoretically, but like on a deep emotional level. So uh so so I guess that's all I'll say this evening.